Hi, I'm Nell Duke from Stand for Children and the University of Michigan. I am delighted to be able to talk with you about the 2023 updates to the essential instructional practices in early literacy, kindergarten through third grade. So you'll see that one set of changes we made was to the purpose statement on the document. That's on page 1. And a few points of note there. We were explicit in the revised version of the purpose statement about equity and the ways in which the essential instructional practices are meant to be a tool for equity. That is a tool for providing what every student needs in order to be successful with early literacy in our state. We also noted in the updated version of the purpose statement that this document is meant to be the basis for policy and instruction, as well as the basis for professional learning, as in the previous edition. And finally, we made reference to essentials documents that have been published since 2016 that now we hope people will consult along with their reading of the kindergarten through third grade essential practices. We added an entirely new section to the document called Core Commitments. That Core Commitments document was really meant to convey to the field the underlying values of the essential instructional practices and to make more explicit the connections, again, between the essential practices and equity. We also added a section called Enabling Conditions. This section was added because the point was made to us, and we also have made the point ourselves as an updating team many times, that the essentials are really literacy specific. They don't get to a number of other things that are really important to the field, but go beyond just literacy, are equally applicable in math, for example. And so in this new section on enabling conditions, we were able to make that point and to list examples of some of the important enabling conditions that should be in place along with the literacy specific practices that are outlined in the 10 essentials. Another section that we added was the robust resources section. The robust resources section, first of all, makes a point that we learned needed to be clarified for the field, which is that the essentials are not a curriculum. So you still need curriculum materials. They're still very important, and the essentials can't replace the need for curricular resources. We also make the point that many different factors should guide selection of curriculum materials, and we identified some in an endnote. In the section called Essential Practices, we also made several updates to the text that was there, and I'm going to outline those now. One was that we reduced the amount of space in that section that's devoted to standards, in part because we can anticipate that there may be a change in standards forthcoming, and this way the document is able to stay kind of up to date even if there is a standards change. A second point that we added to this section is that, second change that we made to this section is that we made the point that our list of practices is not exhaustive. There are, in fact, other literacy instructional practices that have been tested in research and found to be effective. We tended to focus on ones that had a really robust body of literature, research literature behind them. We did say that if a practice is not on the list, it deserves careful scrutiny to make sure that it is in fact aligned to research, even though it's not in the document. And so that's an important point that we added to this section. And finally, in this section, we talked about the really interconnected nature of the practices on this list and the fact that these practices are all necessary to support children's literacy development. Finally, we added a section right before getting to Essential Practice 1 in which we made 3 important points. The first is that the essentials are for Tier 1, that is, they're for regular classroom instruction. There are other documents that deal with Tier 2 and Tier 3. This document is one that really focuses on Tier 1. A second is that we underscored that the document is meant to be applicable to children of all linguistic backgrounds. And so we make that point. And third, we make the point that whenever we're instituting any of the 10 practices, we want to make sure that we are providing opportunities for translanguaging. That is, for children to draw on their full linguistic repertoire, which would include nonverbal as well as verbal ways of communicating and would include a wide range of languages and dialects. I hope this has been a helpful review for all of you. And as always, we want to thank you for all that you're doing to support the literacy development of Michigan's children.